What's poppin' peas? I'm back with another episode of the Petty Pea Podcast, and you're on with their favorite host, Angelica. Now, today I will be introducing someone who not only has a nostalgic style and Latina flavor, but she has a unique style of music. So let's give it up for Tina Tribeca.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Oh,
I'm doing well, and yourself?
stop.
It's so
Love
nice to finally
you.
meet you.
I know.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about yourself. That'll come to me.
Okay. So I go by Tina Tribeca. That's my stage name. Singer-songwriter, primarily songwriter, but definitely singer. I reside in Brooklyn. Um, but I consider myself like someone that travels through the boroughs, always in Manhattan. So for sure.
Brooklyn. So you're from Brooklyn, born and raised?
Born and raised, yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
I think like I just kind of found like my musical identity in Manhattan. So like that's where I got the Tribeca from.
okay.
Um, yeah, when I did an interview with Genius, that's one of the questions they asked me, like how you got your name. And like I had to like think about that. And I was like, pretty much like being in the Soho Tribeca area, it like influenced like my style, my music. I felt like really connected there. Of course, I'm always gonna be a Brooklyn girl. Like I'm never gonna deny that. But that's kind of where I started, like in terms of music. So
Okay.
I'm Puerto Rican and Dominican. My mom is Puerto Rican.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know the point.
Right, right.
My dad's
Boricua.
Dominican, you know.
What were you studying in college?
I was studying creative writing and studio art. So I
Oh,
was like, yeah, I was a creative writing major. Um, I took so many like reading, writing classes, poetry classes. I took like every single poetry class to take that definitely influenced like my songwriting. Um, and then I did studio art. So studio art, I studied like everything visual, like um photography, videography, and that like helped a lot with like social media because like I do a lot of editing like myself. So that definitely helped too. So that was like my majors.
yeah, your pictures are
Did you?
definitely fire.
Thank you.
So what first got you into making music?
So
Well, besides like the whole Manhattan Tribeca story, like what was your first inspo? Like the
So
reason.
my dad is a DJ. He definitely makes music. He like you walk into his living room, he has a whole DJ set up in his living room. I'm like, Dad, like we could keep it as a couch and a TV. He has literally like a whole turntable, his MacBook. I'm like, this is a living room area. It's not okay. But my dad is a DJ. So he definitely inspired me a lot. He's someone that has always like really believed in me and like has always told me to keep going. So definitely started there. And then my sister, my older sister, when I was growing up, she was making music and she used to go to the studio a lot. She used to go to the recording studio when I was like a toddler. So she took me with her. Like I remember like when I was really little being at like dance practice or being at like the recording studio because she used to make music. So it's definitely like a family situation. For me, like I feel like with age, I don't mind my age because I feel like I'm kind of glad that I started making music a little later.
Right.
I got to like experience life and be able to like write about music in different ways in terms of like when I was younger, now that I'm older. And I also feel like if I would have started making music when I was like 15, I probably would have got like super distracted and stopped. So I started making music when I was a little bit older. I think I was like in college. So I was probably like early 20s, like trying to figure out like what exactly I wanted to do. But I know people that have started way earlier and they stopped because they fell into some type of distraction or they just stopped doing it because they were so young.
Right.
I did avoid it a lot when I was a kid because I wanted to do my own thing. I was like, you guys are doing that. Like I saw you guys doing that. I want to do something else. Like I'm
Right.
trying to like do something different. And then I just realized like you can't like avoid like what you like. So yeah.
That's cool. So
How
I could definitely relate with that. That's cool.
you
But
said
it's
you said you could relate?
yeah, like how you got the inspiration from like family and wanting to be like a musician and stuff. Like I can relate to that. Like I
Yeah,
feel
like
like yeah, go what you was gonna say.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, like I feel like when you're around certain things or people that love music, it makes you love music too.
Right,
Um, like maybe indirectly, like you might not even notice it, but then like later on in life, you see like that your family influenced you in some type of way.
right. What would you say your favorite type of genre is of music?
That's so hard. My favorite genre. That's so hard. I think like I make R&B music. I love R&B. So like I don't know if it's my favorite genre, but I think I just gravitate towards like R&B music, alternative R&B music. I definitely gravitate towards that genre.
Right.
Um, but growing up, I was like a huge fan of rap music. Like I like from the ages of like 10 and up, I was listening to like, Lil Wayne, I was listening to Hove, I was listening to like a lot of rap music. And then like I started hanging out with my dad a lot. And we used to take these long car rides and he would play like 112. And I'm like, why are we listening to this? I'm like 13. I'm like, this is fucking weird. Like, can we listen? Now I appreciate it because I'm like, oh, this is fire. Like, he was playing like Babyface and like he was playing like all the old school R&B artists of the 90s. And
Right.
that's when I like developed my love for like R&B music. Um, but I remember being in those car rides, like, why are you playing this? Like, can we listen to like Lil Wayne just dropped a mixtape? Like, can we put that on right now?
Yeah,
Like
that was me too when I was younger. I used to come at my mom for listening to it. Like, that's so old, like, put something new until I got older
what
and
was your
started
mom what was your mom listening to?
the same thing. And she loved like Diddy, Biggie,
Yeah,
um,
that's literally
Tupac.
my dad.
But I feel like her thing too was like salsa music a lot, just because she used to love cleaning to salsa music. So I love salsa music.
My mom is like Mark Anthony, like
Yes, that's us.
Mark Anthony, like um she's definitely a big like Mark Anthony fan or like what's his name? I think Tito Nieves or something like that.
Yeah, Tito Rojas. Um, there's like a lot of salsa artists she listens to. And then her favorite, like Eminem, she loves
My mom loves
Eminem.
Eminem too. Are they cousins? Like what's going on?
Yo,
Like
she says
seriously.
that's her man. I'm
I
like, all right.
know that's funny. Eminem, DMX.
Yes, DMX.
I was like, what is going on here? But yeah, I consider myself a singer, but some of my verses can have a little bit of like rap influences. And I think that's definitely because I grew up so long like listening to rap music. I do definitely have a strong love for like R&B music for sure.
Yeah, that's what you gravitated to more.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think R&B music has just a way of helping people when they're feeling emotional or like having something to relate to when you're feeling like you're in a certain space. Rap music is like you want to turn up and you're like ready to go off, like
Right. So how would you describe the music you make?
I would say it's definitely like alternative R&B for sure. It's not like traditional R&B, definitely alternative R&B, spacey, atmospheric, um, earthy, like not your traditional type of R&B artist. I aim to like be authentic at the end of the day and like push the envelope. I
Right.
think a lot of artists don't really, well, I don't know, I can't really speak for every artist, but I don't like hearing music that sounds the same. So like when I put music out, I try to make it different or as different as possible, or like try to push the envelope, leave my comfort zone in some way.
Right.
So, but definitely alternative R&B for sure.
That's why I had to ask you because I saw like you said like R&B and rock, I think in your bio.
Yeah, because oh my God, I love rock music so much. Like if I played like an instrument, I would love to be in a band. Like I love rock music because I'm all for like the emo vibes. I'm, I'm serious. I'm all for the emo. Like rock music is just touches my soul in a different way. And I think my personality is sometimes a little bit more out there than like the traditional R&B person. So that's why like my bio says like R&B artist in a like rock star's body because I feel like I can be a little extroverted, I guess. So like I like really gravitate towards rock music because I feel like they're so like cool and like out there and like they can be eccentric and I feel like I can be that way but I'm also a little bit reserved and mysterious, so that's why I always cite my music as alternative R&B because it's not exactly all like it's not exactly R&B like all of it, but yeah, it's like alternative, I guess. When I first started, like I started with making beats and I had like a mini keyboard and I loved the idea of making like electronic beats like
Mhm.
with the keyboard. I just never mastered using a keyboard and I didn't have like a general or genuine passion for like creating beats or like being a keyboardist, I guess. So that's why like I stopped. But I would love to like really delve into that, like learning how to play instruments and like being someone that like plays an electronic keyboard or guitar. That'd be so fire.
So do you see yourself like branching out from being an R&B artist to moving forward to a rock star?
Honestly, like I've honestly thought about that, like doing rock music. I have like really thought about it because I do love rock music. I don't know, like it would be so if I had the opportunity, I would love to do like a rock song and see how I feel.
Right.
But I feel like I'm so R&B in terms of what I put out. It would have to happen somewhere down the line in a very specific way. It would have to be like alternative like R&B rock, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't know how that would work. I'm down with pushing the genre though, and pushing the envelope as much as possible and like creating lanes for yourself. Like I feel like artists become legends because they create worlds for themselves and they make people feel like, wow, I'd never seen this before. So like
Right.
if it was to happen, I'd be down. Like if I like had the opportunity to be in a band, like sing some shit, I would do it.
But who's to say you can't make the first genre of R&B rock?
Yo, that'd be so fire. Like, what?
I mean, like Run DMC did it with what was it? Aerosmith? I think it was
Oh,
Aerosmith.
wow. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I know what you're talking about. Because I feel like when I picture myself on stage, I do not picture myself with like choreographers. I picture myself doing headbangs and like being like hella like turn. Like, I don't know how that's going to work. Like, we'll see. We'll see my first tour how it's going to work because I'm going to be like, I'm going to be like, going crazy on stage. They're gonna be like, I thought this was R&B.
No, for real. That's funny.
No, I've always envisioned myself with a band though. Like if I was like to go on tour, I still envision myself with a band that like um would be carrying out the instrumentals of my tracks, not like
So like acoustics
or like some type of like alternative instrumental where it's like an actual real drum set guitar. Like I've always pictured that for some reason.
Right.
So, but that would be so dope.
No.
Maybe I'll invite people on stage and then they'll shake their ass. Go shake it, yeah, you can shake it real quick, but you know, I'll just be here.
More like some people that are like iconic to you in the music industry.
Number one, like 100% number one would be Janet Jackson. Like, I'm like a huge Janet Jackson fan. I love her so much. So it'd be Janet Jackson, definitely Aaliyah. Is this like a top 5?
Wait, who's Aaliyah?
Aaliyah.
Oh,
People pronounce it Aaliyah, but it's actually pronounced Aaliyah.
really?
It's Muhammad Aaliyah. Yeah.
I never knew.
Yeah, I'm a huge like fan of her music. I think she was probably one of the first artists that I heard that made me feel comfortable with my voice, because I don't think I have like the biggest voice. Like I'm not like a Whitney Houston, rest in peace. I think a lot of artists, you like shouldn't compare yourself, but when you hear artists that like you resonate with because they have a similar vocal style, like it makes you feel more comfortable with your voice. Not saying like that I'm like comparable to her. I think I'm a great artist, but like vocal style, like her softer tone, I think it definitely made me feel more comfortable, similar to like Janet Jackson and like Janae Aiko.
Where would you say you get your sense of style from?
Stylistic choices, I feel like I'm definitely more of a comfort streetwear type of person. And I feel like I've always been that type of way. It's kind of hard for me as a woman watching the things that happen in the industry, because some of the things that are worn, I'm like, I can't really see myself over sexualizing myself. I'm definitely more of like a streetwear comfort type of person. And I feel like because of that, like it definitely, excuse me, like sets me apart a little bit, which I think can be a good thing, but it also can be like oh, when she's gonna take her shirt off type of thing. Like, you know, people expect you to be like sexual because you're, I guess, in the industry because everyone else is. So, but I don't see that for myself. So stylistically, I see myself being like more streetwear, definitely urban. If it's sexy, I'm not gonna be out here showing like my butt crack. So.
Right. So you feel like as far as fashion goes, being in the music world, it can have a negative outcome.
I definitely feel like the industry like kind of forces women to be overly sexualized. It can be a powerful thing if you make it that way for yourself, or it can be diminishing if like you're not that type of person where like you want to be seen in that way. You know, like I'm the type of person where like sexy time is me time with my partner, not like for 1,000,001 people to see kind of thing. Like I'm not trying to be on stage in lingerie, you know, like so I think the state of the industry now, I've noticed that women are more comfortable being that way. Well, I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable being in lingerie on stage. You know, I think back then, like maybe in the 90s, that probably was a little bit more taboo. You know, no one was really on stage like in like bra and panties, you know? So I think sometimes it is difficult for me to see myself a part of a world that like women are considered to just be sexy if their clothes are off, when I consider myself to be just as sexy when my clothes are on, you know?
Right. Do you feel like that's something that should be changed in the near future?
Yeah, I think like I would like for women in the industry or more women in the industry just to like look like me, I guess. Like I don't know a lot of women in the industry that look like me. So like I think a lot of women in the industry are either like super thin or like super showy in terms of what they're showing or like outwardly. Um I don't know if that answered your question, but
In a way, it did.
yeah, I would just want like my biggest thing would be like
Like I meant as far as like women being sexualized in the industry, would you want that to change as far as like giving women more respect, there being more boundaries in the music industry when it comes to women and their music and their wardrobe?
yeah, for sure. I think Alicia Keys spoke about this once. She said that there's not a lot of women in the industry like to begin with. So like because it's like a male dominated sport, men want to see naked women, of course. It creates a certain type of image for people to feel like they need to see, because it's like it's male dominated, men want to see boobs. So like of course there's gonna be women with boobs out and stuff, but that doesn't mean that it should be that way, like
Right.
um but I'm sure like there are women that they love that. Like they love to be in this type of world where like they're embraced because of their body. Like it can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. Um, for someone like me who I feel like I'm pretty darn sexy in some sweatpants, like I don't want to go outside in poom poom shorts. Like, but then you post a music video in poom poom shorts, like you might get more views. So it's like kind of
Right.
sucks, like that I gotta be that person to get 100,000 views. Is that how it is now? Like, but it is that way.
Like, do you believe in being fashionable without having to spend a crazy amount of money?
Hell yeah. I feel like even if I was a millionaire, I would not be spending like crazy amounts of money on clothes. Like I don't know if that's true because I'm not a millionaire, so that could turn me into a millionaire and then just be like, I'm gonna buy all the Gucci bags. But I don't see that for myself because I'm just kind of like,
A more
there's
hype
it's
person.
like unnecessary. And I like saving money so much. I'm like a frugal person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like, when it comes to the industry, sometimes wardrobe and then depending what you say as far as lyrics go, that's the thing that grasps the most attention.
That's true.
So,
That's really true. I think it's important for people to remember that you don't need to be buying the Gucci bags and the Louis bags and spending millions and hundreds of dollars that you don't have to be a part of the music industry. I think your music just has to be good. Like you can still be yourself and not have to be a part of this world that everyone wants to buy all these expensive things to be down. So I definitely see where you're coming from because I remember, like, I really agree with that because I remember when everybody was talking about the Gucci bags, like, or the Gucci, like Gucci, whatever in their songs. I think it was like a few years ago, but I remember every song was talking about Gucci. That was the thing. And for people that can't afford Gucci, like you think that the next time you get paid, you should buy Gucci. When it's like you can't even really afford that. And you shouldn't have to want to afford that. You should be okay with being someone that's normal. Like, like you shouldn't, there's nothing wrong with buying a Gucci bag, but you don't have to buy a Gucci bag to be more accepted in society. You shouldn't feel that way. So for sure, I agree with that.
basically, now you said earlier, you feel like it's more with the lyrics that needs to be paid attention to? So do you feel like the creativity overall of what you do should be paid attention to versus the fashion?
I think that like what's more important is what you're putting out and the quality of what you're putting out, not really so much what you're wearing. Like,
Right.
um, and I think if you fake it too much in terms of what you're wearing, like people will notice and they could tell if you're trying too hard. Like, you don't have to be Gucci head to toe to like have a hit record or to progress in your music career. It doesn't need to happen. So like I think, yeah, you should pay attention and invest those thousands of dollars in like studio time and music that you want to create and just being creative and mastering your craft. I definitely believe that.
And as far as creativity goes and lyrics, what is your, like, what would you say your writing process consists of?
That is like a really, really good question. So my writing process, it depends. I love to write most of the time in the nighttime or in the early, like it has to be like early morning, like everybody's asleep like 2, 3 a.m. Um, that's just a time where I feel like things just come to me naturally. I've written songs in 10 minutes. I've written songs in like 2 hours, 3 hours. So it really depends on the song. And it also depends on the beat. Like I really prioritize the beats being perfect. Like I have relationships with my producer or producers. I have relationships with my engineers, and I like prioritize the beats a lot because if you don't like what you're writing to, then it's harder to write. So I think the first step is making sure you have a good relationship with your producer or whoever you're buying a beat from, because it'll just make your process so much better. Like, or for people that are just buying beats on YouTube, you just keep writing until you get it down. Like, I put my writing on a very high pedestal because I've spent so long being a writer. Like, I know my writing is epic and crazy. Like, I like really believe in my pen. But that took time for me to believe in, like, you know, like it wasn't like I just woke up one day and I became like a good writer. So I think that it depends on the beat and it depends on my mood and it depends on what I'm really trying to say on the song. That's pretty much my writing process. There's times where I'm writing to a beat or I'll hear a beat and I'm like, I'll hit up my producer. Shout out to Tone. Tone is the person that produced the song I just put out called Nighttime. When we first met, he was sending me beats and I was like, I was like, bro, like, I'm sorry, but no, this ain't gonna work. Like, and we just developed such a good relationship and such good communication that eventually, like, he started sending me beats and I was like, yo, this is crazy, this is fire. And sometimes you gotta like guide people a little bit or just be like, yo, like I like this, you should change this, you should tweak that. And then next thing you know, you're writing a song in like 10 minutes because you just have that relationship with your producer that you now like can write super quick because you love the beat and now it's like inspiring you, you know, like, so depends on that too.
See,
That was a good question. I love that question.
you said that was a good question. That was a very great answer.
I've I've bought beats from people and you're listening to the beat and you're like you're listening to it, and then you're like, I don't like this part of the beat. And then it just throws off the whole song because you just don't like that one part in the beat. And you're like,
Right.
you gotta rewrite like 5 times because that one part just doesn't sit right with you because it doesn't fit your vibe. So like,
And you don't know what to do with it.
yeah, you're like, what do I do here? Like, am I just gonna do ad-libs here? Like, am
Do
I
I
gonna
stay quiet?
yeah,
For the next verse.
let it drop, just let it, you know, like, yeah,
Let it play out.
yeah, exactly. I've been there where like I've bought beats. I have beats and songs that I've recorded, and there's certain parts in the beat that I'm like, yo, I can't with this part. Like I'm not even gonna I'm just not gonna put this out. I'm not gonna I just part of the song just pisses me off. Like I can't put it out. But I don't regret that because I spent time writing and it made my writing better. You know, like it's like all part of the process, I guess, if that makes sense.
So is there anyone you see yourself collaborating with in the future?
Ooh, Joshua Ravioli, for sure. I would definitely collab with him. Artist wise, my dream collab would be probably The Weeknd. I didn't mention The Weeknd earlier, but his sound in terms of like how he cultivated his sound over time is so fire. Like I love The Weeknd. That would be my probably my dream collaboration. Of course, J. Cole. For sure. Definitely I would love to work with J. Cole. Those are like people that if I ever made a song with The Weeknd and J. Cole, I would be like, I'll be like, I'll be like this. Yeah, The Weeknd is like, I love The Weeknd. I love his sound, like, period. His vocals, the way his engineers master his music and the sound that he's cultivating, like, he is a very talented artist. I like think he's so iconic for this generation. Like, and I think he's kind of slept on in a way, but not. Like, he's definitely on the brink to being legendary for
Well,
sure.
The Weeknd.
Yeah.
If I have to be honest, I'm not a big fan.
You're breaking my heart right now.
I don't know what it is. Like, there's certain songs that like I could listen to, but majority of the songs, I don't know.
Really?
Yes. I
What
don't
is it
know.
about him? What is it about him that you don't like?
I don't know, maybe just the way like his style of music is just not my cup of tea, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I have to re-listen to him. But it's like, I don't know. And then you know when you don't like a song and then you keep hearing it and hearing it, so it just gets stuck in your head to the point that you have no choice but to like it. That's like him for me. Do you feel the industry makes it harder for women to excel in the music business?
That's a good question. Um, I think there's definitely more women in the industry that are excelling right now. So I don't know if it makes it harder. I think it might make it harder if you're someone that is different than the norm because you're not sure how to create your own lane for yourself. Um, so I think if you're someone that's like super pretty in terms of what everyone is used to seeing and have decent amount of talent, it might be easier for you to get into the industry just off of like what you look like, right?
Mhm.
But also I do think that times have changed and people are more open to people being different or people looking different. Like look at Lizzo. Like Lizzo is a perfect example of someone that's like totally different than anybody that's in the industry. But then you also have to think about how many women that look like her that are talented that haven't made it in the industry. Like she's only one person that looks like that in the industry. You know what I mean? So that's the way I think. And there's like millions of women in the industry that look one way and that are very gorgeous and that are super thin, you know? And she's the one person that made that lane and made it into that lane. And there's no one that looks like her. So that's like a great thing that she's able to like have this lane for herself and finally make it into the industry and have girls that look like her be like, yo, she looks like that and she made it. I could make it too. But she's the only person that looks like that, really, to be honest. So
But she helps though in a way because she's paving the way.
it's not something that you see all the time. You don't always see people that look different. And I think that 2022, 2023, people are more embracing, and people are embracing like people looking different, or being different, or not being a certain type of way. People are definitely embracing that. It's just kind of sad that it took this long. Like, I'm sure there's so many girls that are thick, that are so talented, that people are like, you're not thin enough, or you're not light skinned enough, or you're not this enough to make it right now. Sorry, we can't, we're not interested. I'm sure there are a ton of women that probably have been casted aside because they feel like, or someone in the industry just felt like they weren't it enough, when in reality they were it enough. They just weren't in front of the wrong person, or they were speaking to the wrong person that didn't see the vision. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I just hope that the industry just continues to develop in a way that like women that are thicker or taller or shorter, or I mean, I just want everyone to win, you know, like, so.
Yeah, I feel like the whole BBL
Oh my gosh, let's
is
talk
like
about that.
is so like
Like,
in trend right now. That's like the look.
right, the right now the look is like you need to be huge booty, huge boobs, not naturally done, but that's like how you make it in the industry, or like that's what's getting everyone's attention. And it's like, I'm sure there's a ton of women that don't want to do that, but like have talent, but they feel pressured to do that just so that they're what's hot right now. You know what I mean? Like, because that's like everything you see. Everyone is getting these surgeries, like, or like doing all these things to their bodies. And I'm not someone to knock that. Like, if you really want to do it, then I'm all for it. But I'm like the type of person that I just kind of feel like if you have talent, you shouldn't feel like you have to do that just to be a musician, or just to be a rapper, or just to be a singer, you know? And I feel like, especially in the rap community, like everyone's getting their body done. And I feel bad for the little girls that like want to be a rapper, that are going to grow up aiming to save 5-10K just to get a BBL because they feel like they want to be a rapper, and they gotta look that way to be a rapper when you don't, you know, like, so that's just how I feel about that.
And besides the whole body shape and sexualizing, as a Latina artist, do you feel it's more or less difficult to set an image for yourself?
I think that I wish there were more Latin women that were icons. Like, there's not a lot of Latin women. I think the Latin community definitely has stepped it up. We have like Bad Bunny, of course. We've always had J-Lo. Um, but in terms of like legendary status, I feel like I wish that there were more Hispanic women like really going for that spot. And it's kind of sad and disheartening that not a lot of women in the industry are Puerto Rican and Dominican. Like, I don't really know anyone that's like the same race as me. But of course, you know, I feel like I'm happy for the Puerto Ricans that are making it. I'm happy for the Dominicans that are making it. I'm happy for anybody that's Hispanic that's like really creating this lane where like people feel like they are accepted within an industry. But that's definitely something I've always noticed. Like, there are a few, like we have Danny Lay, we have, you know, Bad Bunny. Like, I'm not gonna knock the people that are in the industry that are like
Becky G.
Becky G, you know, that are
G.
right, that are cultivating those lanes and like showing like Hispanic women in general, or Hispanic men are coming up. But at the same time, it's like legendary, like status, iconic, like world renowned. There's not that many, you know, and it is a little disheartening. Like, I want there to just be more color, like in the industry.
It's crazy that you say that because I never really noticed that until you pointed that out. Because I
The
could
only
name a lot
real
of.
legend that we have from our generation that is like considered legend from our generation is Jennifer Lopez, is J-Lo.
Right. Because I could definitely name more legends from other cultures more than our own. Do you feel your mental health was affected being a musician?
I think in a good way it's affected. Like I would never say like music is making my mental health worse right now. Like I think I make music because I want to release energy that I'm holding or release negativity that I'm holding or release something that I'm going through. I don't think it's like harming my mental health. I think um I think that it can be harmful if you pay attention too much to the things that come with the music industry or that come with making music, like um the comments and the social media and like all those things. I think right now like it's doing good for my mental health, not like doing bad.
Yes, I read a study shows people with mental health are the most creative. Well, not the most creative, but that it helps creativity. So, what do you call it? I feel like in ways it can be beneficial as far as you said writing goes. So that would be a plus.
Yeah, it's definitely like a big outlet for me. Like I think it's therapeutic. Like when I'm going through things, sometimes it's harder to talk to people than it is to like make a song about it. Sometimes you don't really know how to tell someone what you're going through. And I think you don't have to explain yourself to music. You don't have to explain yourself when you're making a song. Like you're creating from how you're feeling, like, and I think that's why it's such a big outlet for me. And that's why it's always been such a big outlet for me because sometimes you just want to say what you have to say with no questions asked. Like, so that's how it's helped me mentally. Um, I think when you vent to people or you speak to people, your mental health can be influenced in different ways depending on how they react or depending on how they respond to you. Or I've definitely gotten advice to people from people, not to people, sorry. I've definitely gotten advice from people that made me feel worse. Music never makes me feel worse because they don't like the beat isn't going to ask me like what happened, like so or
You're
the
just
beat,
gonna write what happened.
right? Like the music isn't gonna judge me, so I'll write a song about it, you know? So that's how I feel about that in terms of like mental health. It's definitely a good outlet for me.
So would you suggest that to other people that's going through mental health issues?
I think it depends on the person. I'm a strong advocate for someone creating through what they're feeling. I also think therapy is very important. I think knowing when to seek help is important. Like, don't ignore the signs of depression or anxiety. Nighttime was written because I was someone that was always going through things at night or feeling certain emotions at night and feeling this sorrow from situations that I was in. And I think I recognized within myself, like, yo, I'm kind of going through it right now because of this situation, whatever like I might have been going through at the time while I was writing it. I realized like you can't ignore your emotions forever. So I wrote a song about it. But of course, outside of me writing that song, I definitely have a therapist and I'm someone that advocates for people that seek help and like talk to someone. And it doesn't mean like you have to be like going crazy to like seek therapy. I don't think like I was like literally going crazy. But and I hate when people use that term. I think that like if you're someone that needs somebody to talk to, or someone that like needs help, recognize the signs. Like don't allow yourself to quote unquote go crazy, like
Right.
don't allow yourself to reach a certain point where like I don't want to say like you're so far gone, because like that's kind of sad, but it's in a way it's also true. Like you don't want to be someone that ignored your trauma for so long that now you don't know what to do with yourself. Like try to find help before you have so much trauma that you're like confused, or like, or it's leaking into your relationships, or whatever the case may be. Like, so I'm a strong advocate for therapy. I think it works.
Yeah, I would agree. So now
That was a long response. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You're good. You actually give great advice. You know how to talk, and your vocabulary is very much up to
Thank
par.
you. If you ever need to talk, hit me up.
Well, everybody is gonna hear it. So, what was nighttime about? What inspired you to write that song?
So nighttime. Woo! Girl, you gonna have me here all day if we talk about nighttime.
Well, this will be like our last question. I'm gonna ask one more, and then I'm gonna wrap it up.
Okay, so nighttime. Nighttime, I wrote it because I was in like a situationship for a few months that I felt like wasn't giving me what I needed. And I was like kind of fooling myself thinking that I could be involved with someone that wasn't willing to give me what I required. And I spent a lot of nights over analyzing the situation when really I should have just realized that this person cannot be what I need. So spent a lot of nights, and I spent like a lot of late mornings or early mornings, 1 a.m.s, 2 a.m.s, thinking like, yo, am I delusional for believing in this person? Like, am I like losing my shit? Like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? And I feel like a lot of women probably feel that way when they're going through a situationship, right? So I decided to write a song about it because I felt like this person was like making me question myself, like in my own judgment for myself. And that's how the song was pretty much created.
Steve, I haven't been in a situationship in a while, but I could relate, girl. I could relate.
Sometimes like it's not always planned that way. Like you want more from a person, but like you're kind of getting fooled, and it sucks because you're like, you expect so much from this person because you see them in a certain light. And at the end of the day, if they don't want to give you what you require, what you need, then like you kind of have to leave it alone. You don't really have a choice. So that's how the song came about. It was like very much like I felt like I was like in a very like hard space. And at the same time, I felt like there's a line in the song where I was like you can't even break ties with me. You rather lie to me instead of lie with me, right? Like, and that was probably the deepest thing I ever said. You rather lie to me instead of lie with me.
People need to keep in mind when they're starting something, a relationship with anybody, is that that person in the beginning won't be the same person we saw the first day.
That's like
colors take a while to come to show.
That's like the best thing you could say. Like, that's true. Like, in the beginning, especially, like there's always like that honeymoon phase, where like you feel like this person is for you and this person could like potentially be like your partner. And then they start showing you who they really are and they start moving a little funny and they start switching up. And it's not because they changed, it's because they decided to show you who they really were because they got tired of keeping up with like the facade that they were
And they
portraying.
got comfortable.
Right. So that's definitely true. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. It's like you'll allow somebody in your space for too long. They get to know your weak points, what you allow, what you don't allow. And
Yeah.
so they try to test that. Test the
Yeah.
waters and drink
Yeah,
that.
not to knock him, because in a sense, like I feel like if I didn't go through that situation, I wouldn't have wrote this song. And this is one of my favorite songs, like one of the favorite songs I ever put out. And like, not to knock him, because I don't think he is a bad person. I think he just has a few character flaws that he's working on. So like, to each their own. But as a woman that is also growing and developing themselves as a person, like you always know, like your intuition is always right. You always know when someone is like giving you the short end of the stick or is lying to you or is playing a certain role that they shouldn't be playing and they're not giving you exactly what you deserve. So that's pretty much what the song is about as well, you know?
Right. Whew. And as far as your EPs and singles, have you got the opportunity to perform them in front of anyone?
I've never got to perform. I need to like work on that. We need to make that happen. I need to make that happen. Like, hit me up. Yeah, I definitely would love to do like an open mic or like definitely within the next 5 years, I would love to tour. Like, or like open for some like someone here and there, like be like an opener, like opening for someone that's touring. Like, I don't have to be a headliner, but like
Right.
I would love to go on tour. I would love to be a headliner within the next 5 years. Definitely want to see the world. Yeah, I would love to like to do that stuff.
If you could choose one of the places you've visited so far to be your first place to perform, where would it be?
Out of all the places I've been to, like recently, like where would I want to perform?
Yeah, like if you had the opportunity to pick one place that you visited so far to perform, where would it be?
Oh, I gotta choose one. Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, like if you got the opportunity to just go to one state real quick to perform in front of thousands of people.
Paris was a vibe. I went to Paris. If I was to perform in Paris, that'd be crazy. Like that would be so nice. Like I went to Paris on vacation and that was like my dream come true. Like it was fire. If I was to perform in Paris, that would be great. I think selling out a event space or venue in New York though, like where I'm from, would like change my life. And that would be like the highlight of like my life. Selling out like Barclays. I'll be like, what? Or even like selling out like something smaller, like a smaller venue in New York. I'll be like, what?
Right.
Like Radio City or like something even smaller than that. Selling out like SOBs or something, like that'd be crazy.
So as far as your music goes, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years from now?
Whew, that is a loaded one. That's a loaded question. 5 years from now, in terms of my music, I would love to be more developed in terms of a songwriter for other people. I think when you have a gift of writing, I would like love to pass that on. So I know I have a gift like in terms of songwriting, I know that for sure. So I would love to I don't know, work with more artists and like help them develop their voice music wise, help them develop finding themselves in terms of their artistry and like cultivating sounds for other people. Also just developing myself, branding myself more, pushing myself more to like be creative and create more and continue like pushing the envelope. Definitely would love to put out a debut album because everything I've put out has been like an EP or like singles. So I would love to put out an album, have a consistent fan base. And like my biggest goal would be like actually making like a good salary from putting music out. That would be like a salary like to the point where like I could just chill. I don't have to be a millionaire, but like within the next 5 years, I would love to be someone that can live off of being creative fully, like 100%, not just like on the side or just a side hustle or just like, like music is something I'm passionate about and I want it to grow and continue to grow. But within the next 5 years, that's pretty much what I want for myself, to be able to like just be creative in all aspects, pretty much.
What do we look forward to? What do we got coming soon?
So I did drop Nighttime a week ago. So I am working on following up after that and possibly putting out another single, hopefully sooner than later. So be on the lookout for that. Definitely more content on my social media. I've just been trying to be super active on the Instagrams and on Twitter. So definitely more content. Definitely some more music coming soon. Be on the lookout for that. But I can't give you a confirmed release date, but I'm working on an EP right now. Nighttime was the lead single, and the EP should be done soon. If I come up with a date, then I will release it. But I have some dates in mind, but like I don't want to like give it away yet.
And and we can find your music on all platforms, or is there a limitation? Because I know some people do Tidal.
It's on everything. You can find it on everything except SoundCloud.
Okay.
So it's on Tidal, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. If you want to listen to it on YouTube for free, you can find it on YouTube. It's on everything, Amazon Music, every single platform. Every platform, Nighttime is available. I wanted to make sure it was available. It's not on SoundCloud yet. I might put it on SoundCloud. We will see.
Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in with the Petty Pea Podcast. And stay tuned for more. Bye.